Hey guys, in addition to reading read aloud to you from a picture book each day, I'm also going to start reading chapter books to you. If you've never read a chapter book before or had your parents or a sibling read to you from a chapter book, they're a lot of fun. They're longer than picture books are, and so you get a little bit more into the book and get to know more about the characters in the book. And the first series I'm going to read to you is A to Z Mysteries. This series was my favorite when I was growing up, so I'm really excited to share my favorite series with you guys too. In this series, there's three best friends. Their names are Dink, Josh, and Ruth Rose, and they are three best friends who live in the city of Greenlawn, and each book is a different mystery they have to solve. So, as I said, the series is called A to Z Mysteries, and each of their mysteries starts with a letter of the alphabet. So we're going to start with the first one, The Absent Author, and the series is written by Ron Roy. In the beginning of each of the A to Z mysteries, there's a map of where they are. So you can see up here, welcome to Greenlawn. Sorry, the page is falling out. It is a well-read book. It's falling apart a little bit. But you can see the map of the city. So if you're reading the book and you had it with you, every time they mention a new place, you can go to the map, you can flip back to the beginning and look at where they are in the city. I think that's a really cool feature of the book. Um, Chapter 1. Please, Josh, Dink said. If you come with me today, I'll owe you one. Just name it. Anything. Dink's full name was Donald David Duncan, but no one in Greenlawn ever called him that, except his mother, when she meant business. Josh Pinto grinned at his best friend. So on this page, there's a picture of Dink and Josh in Dink's bedroom. In picture books, if you haven't seen already, they have less pictures than a picture book. So some of the pages aren't going to have any pictures, but when there is a picture, I will make sure I show you guys. Anything? He raised his mischievous green eyes toward the ceiling of Dink's bedroom. Let's see. What do you have that I want? He scratched his head. I know. I'll take Loretta. Dink tossed a pillow at Josh. When I said anything, I meant anything but my guinea pig. Are you coming with me or not? I have to be at the book nook in 15 minutes. Dink rushed into the bathroom, tucking his shirt into his jeans at the same time. Josh followed him. Standing in front of the mirror, Dink yanked a brush through his thick blonde hair. Well, he asked, are you coming with me? What's so important about this writer guy? Josh asked, sitting on the edge of the bathtub. Dink turned around and pointed at his hairbrush. Wallace Wallace isn't just some writer guy, Josh. He's the most famous mystery writer in the world. All the kids read his books, except for you. If he's so famous, why is he coming to dinky little Greenlawn? Dink charged back to his bedroom. I told you, he's coming because I invited him. I'm scared to death to meet someone so famous. I don't even know what you're supposed to say to an author. Dink dived under his bed and backed out again with his sneakers. Please come with me. Josh leaned in the bedroom doorway. Sure, I'll come, you dope. I'm just trying to make you sweat. Usually you're so calm. Dink stared at his friend. You will? Thanks. I can't believe Wallace Wallace is really coming. When I wrote and asked him, I never thought he'd say yes. Dink yanked his backpack out of his closet. Pack my boots, okay? I'm getting Wallace Wallace to sign them all. Josh began pulling Wallace Wallace books off Dink's bookshelf. Geez, how many do you have? Everyone he's written. Dink sat on the floor to tie his sneakers. 23 so far. You should read some of them, Josh. Josh picked out The Poison Pond and read the back cover. Very cool. It says here that Wallace Wallace lives in a castle in Maine. Wouldn't that be neat? Dink grinned. When I'm a famous writer, you can live in my castle, Josh. No way. When I'm a famous artist, you can live in my castle, down in the basement. Josh picked up The Riddle in the River. What's this guy look like? He asked. And how come his picture isn't on any of these books? I wondered about that too, Dink said. I sent him one of my school pictures and asked him for one. But when I got his letter, there was no picture. He finished tying his laces. Maybe Wallace Wallace just doesn't like having his picture taken. Josh squeezed all 23 books into Dink's pack. He grinned at Dink. Or maybe he's too ugly. Dink laughed. Gee, Josh, you're ugly and you love having your picture taken. Ha ha. Josh picked up his drawing pad. But just because you're my best friend, I'll draw his picture at the bookstore. Dink looked at his watch. Yikes, he said. We have to pick up Ruth Rose in 1 minute. He tore in the bathroom and started brushing his teeth. How'd you get her to come? Josh called. Dink rushed back into his room, wiping toothpaste from his mouth. You kidding? Ruth Rose loves Wallace Wallace's books. Dink slung his backpack over his shoulder. He and Josh hurried next door to 24 Woody Street. Tiger, Ruth Rose's orange cat, was sitting in the sun on the steps. Dink pressed the doorbell. Ruth Rose showed up at the door. As usual, she was dressed all in one color. Today it was purple. She wore purple coveralls over a purple shirt and had on purple running shoes. A purple baseball cap kept her black curls out of her face. Hey, she said. Then she turned. I'm going to pause there and show you the picture. There's Ruth Rose, Josh, and Dink. Hey, she said. Then she turned around and screamed into the house. The guys are here, Mom! I'm leaving! Dink and Josh covered their ears. Geez, Ruth Rose, Josh said. I don't know what's louder, your outfit or your voice. Ruth Rose smiled sweetly at Josh. I can't wait until Wallace Wallace signs my book, she said. She held up a copy of The Phantom in the Pharmacy. I don't know if you guys have noticed yet, but it sounds like this writer is somewhat like the writer of this book. Ron Roy's name starts, both his first and last name start with an R. And then in the book, the writer's name is Wallace Wallace, and they both start with a W. Then each of the book titles that it's told us has had 2 letters that start the same way. This one's Absent Author. The last one it said was Phantom in the Pharmacy. That one they both start with a PH. Poisoned Pond, those start with P's. The Riddle in the River, Riddle and River both start with R's. So it's kind of cool how the author they're talking about in the book is writing books like the author of this book writes his books. I wonder if Wallace Wallace will read from the new book he's working on, Dink said. What's the title? Ruth Rose asked. They headed toward the book nook. I don't know, said Dink, but he wrote in his letter that he's doing some of the research while he's here in Connecticut. Dink pulled the letter out of his pocket. He read it out loud while he walked. Dear Mr. Duncan, thank you for your kind letter. I'm so impressed that you've read all my books. I have good news. I made arrangements to come to the book nook to sign books. I can use part of my time for research. Thanks for your picture. I'm so happy to finally meet one of my most loyal fans. Short of being kidnapped, nothing will stop me from coming. See you soon, Wallace Wallace. So the author put the letter, like a picture of the letter. The letter was signed Wallace Wallace in loopy letters. Dink grinned. Pretty neat, huh? Pretty neat, Mr. Duncan, teased Josh. You should have that letter framed, Ruth Rose said. Great idea, Dink said. They passed Howard's barber shop. Howard waved through his window as they hurried by. Come on, Dink urged as he dragged his friends down the street to the book nook. They looked through the window, out of breath. The bookstore was crowded with kids. The book nook's owner, Mr. Paskey, had set up folding chairs. Dink noticed that most of them were already taken. Dink saw Mr. Paskey sitting behind a table. A big white sign on the table said, Welcome, Wallace Wallace. But the chair behind the sign was empty. Dink gulped and stared at the empty seat. Where was Wallace Wallace? And that's the end of chapter 1. We're going to stop there for today, but I want you to think about it. Wallace Wallace isn't there. Think about the title of the book, The Absent Author. Think about the word absent. What does it mean? Now I want you to think back to the letter too. In the letter, the very last line right here, let me see where it is, right here. It says, short of being kidnapped, nothing will stop me from coming. What do you think is going to happen in the book? I'll let you think about that tonight, and then tomorrow I will post a video for the next chapter, chapter 2. See you then.